Okay, so we talked a little bit about this idea of Joseph as embodying in that moment both this challenge of the old world, or rejecting the old world of this is the right, I can do this because I want to, denounce you, Mary.
I have the power.
To being loving, I love you and respect you, and I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
And then that unexpected twist where even that is not quite enough.
Yeah.
So, but I think I want to push this a little bit because. In some sense, like I said, we've built up to this idea of apocalypse. Apocalypse is not the end of the world; it's the fulfillment, and then apocalypse as the unveiling. And you can almost think about what happens in this moment: the love, the incarnation, and stuff like that. This moment, what we have is the unveiling made flesh. That new world that the veil has been lifted, and we've looked through and we've seen it, and all of a sudden, it's this community. That embodies it, and we as the Christian community, right? We are the visible, touchable manifestation of this new world that God is making, right? And this is something we talked about ad nauseum over the summer.
Yeah.
This whole idea that the contrast between the old and the new, right? That they'll see the new world, they'll see the old world. You have heard it said, this is our Matthew year.
Absolutely.
But I say, right, oh yeah, that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
And then you sort of, and again, this is that surprising progression of Joseph, right? Oh yeah, I want to live in a world, I hope, I want to live in a world where women aren't stoned to death for getting pregnant before being married, where they're allowed to sort of quietly, go into retirement. God's saying, yeah, whatever you have imagined, it's not enough, right? Because your imagination isn't enough to imagine because we are stuck in the old world. We are so stuck in the old world. And I think some of this is back to this idea of incarnation, right? Where we started out this whole discussion of Advent is not looking forward to Jesus or Christmas or the birth. It's looking forward to this radical moment of incarnation. God becomes flesh. God becomes part of the world. Humanity and God are no longer separate because God has made this choice, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
So that God becomes flesh in Jesus. And then we have, and this is something we touched on several times again over the summer, that Jesus is God's embodiment, right? But the church is also Christ's body.
Yes.
So in that sense, when we talk about the incarnation and the fulfillment of the incarnation, that fulfillment happens through the Christian community, through the church, so that we are meant to be, right? This is the already and not yet.
Yes.
We are meant to be
Saint and sinner.
the embodiment of, we're the beta version. Right? A little glitchy.
A little glitchy, not quite ready for public release, but
glitchy. It's like
getting closer.
It's like Paul going to the Corinthians, try out this version. Whoops, that one's screwed up. Paul going to the Romans, try out this version. Oop, that one's still glitchy. So we are continually glitchy, work in progress, the already and not yet.
And anyone who's used a glitchy computer program will tell you that just because it's glitchy doesn't mean it's not worth doing.
Oh.
Because there's all sorts of problems with everything in the world that we try and do, but that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. We are not perfectly loving. We're not as perfect and effective. We have not reached that full vision, that apocalyptic vision we talked about.
Yes.
But we are still better than not doing anything.
I've used a couple of, sort of, I'm a little tentative about continuing this beta glitchy version, but it's possible that this is really a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of thinking that, what happens is every once in a while a bug gets into it and then you just reboot it and it never happens again. And I have this memory of, so I had one of the very first MacBooks,
right.
The big black brick, right?
Yeah.
I loved that machine. It was a brick.
Yeah.
But I remember I was sitting working on it or something, and I was on the phone with a friend, and I look at it, and I was like, what's it doing? And I sort of see, it's like there's smoke coming out of it because it's melting, right? No. It's melting on it. And I was like, oh my God, my computer's on fire. My friend on the other, she's like, back up. Like that, right? And so I unplugged it and hit save, closed the computer, and and after it cooled, I opened it up and I turned it back on again and used it for 2 more years. They don't make computers like I have kids these days. They don't. But that's a little bit. I sort of imagine, and I do kind of like this imagery. I sort of imagine that the church is a little bit like that. We're going along, and all of a sudden God is like, "Oh my gosh, what is it doing?" It's just like smoke coming out. It's like save.
Every now and then the church needs rebooted, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but then you close it and you put it back again. It's like, oh, that Inquisition turned out to be a one-off.
Well, and that's the fear, right? We're as Protestant traditions, right? This is one of the Reformation moments. It's a reboot moment,
Yes.
and
that the Protestants just decided that rebooting was so much fun, we would just keep doing it. Right? And the Catholic Church is looking at it and going, we told you so. Right? Because you have this sort of proliferation that happens with,
yes,
and it's okay, I may regret this one too, but it's a little bit like when you're playing a game, and you save, and it's like, and then you go back to the, it's like
go back to the previous
save,
one.
did it again, previous save. And it's kind of like that's what Protestants, once we figured out that you could go back to the previous version, we just kept doing it. And then someone came along and said, well, I'm just going to go back to the original version, and then everyone kept doing that. But the problem is it's a little bit like, it's like Groundhog Day. We keep going back and we wake up and we're still
making
us.
the same mistakes.
We keep making the same mistakes. And the mistakes boil down to, either clinging to the old world or thinking we're really good people for not clinging to the old world, when in fact we are clinging to the old world.
We've successfully overcome that problem. Like
Yes.
I've successfully overcome that problem. I'm showing grace and love, and isn't that great? And God says, actually, there's more.
There's more, but wait, there's more. Yeah, so this is,
Our
I
vision
think
is incomplete.
And I think this is why, at least for me, the Christmas moment or the Advent building up to Christmas is, we have this sort of opportunity to think about, okay, this is, every year we get to reboot,
Yep.
right? That we get to think about where we've gone wrong in the past and how we want to go right, and how we can, and how we can fix those mistakes, but knowing that new mistakes are going to rear their heads. We're always going to, it's a beta version, right?
Yep.
It's not just buggy with one bug, it's buggy with so many bugs, and once you fix a bug, it creates more bugs.
Yeah.
Right? So I think this is, but this is also why it has to be embodied, right? And we talked about this, a couple weeks ago, I guess, when we talked about this idea of the hopeful monster,
Yeah.
right? And why a Christian community needs speculative fiction, right? Because speculative fiction allows us to sort of experiment, right? And speculative fiction we have a long history within the Christian tradition, all the way back to, all the way back to the beginning, I suppose. But I'm thinking of, Paradise Lost, and,
Sure.
and all of these ideas that Christian writers wanted to imagine, what does this community look like? You have all this utopian fiction
Sure.
at the end of the 19th, early 20th century. What does this paradise look like? And it always, and then so you have this utopian moment, but very quickly, every dystopia starts out as a utopia.
Right.
And the path of a dystopian vision, right, is that you walk into it and you think, oh, this place is perfect, and then you figure out, Soylent Green is people.
There's a child at the heart of Omalas.
Spoiler alert. Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So that you have this, you always have this utopian vision in which the underside is dystopian. But I think in some ways the Christian tradition tries to, our obligation as Christians, as we embody the incarnation, as we try to live it out, is to say, okay, well that didn't work, but now we're going to try this, right?
Yep.
So we keep going.
We continue to speculate. This is a
Yeah.
way we can continue to be more loving.
Yes.
And we can continue to embody the love
Yes,
that God
yes.
has for us in the love of others.
Yeah, but even then, going back to the Joseph thing, right? That the problem is no matter what you've done, you haven't gone far enough.
Yeah.
Right, and the not going far enough, and back to utopia and dystopia. Usually, what it is that some people get the benefits and the other people don't, and that's old world thinking.
Yeah.
Right, and it's
It's
always going to be it's old world thinking, and that's and I think that's kind of one of the struggles that we have as we try to embody the new world, is that we are in this old world, and there's always, it's. I'm sorry, my mind keeps going to like bizarre, was it Time After Time, the one with Christoper Reeves, where there's this we're walking along and we think we're in the new world, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's this doing here? And it's like, boom, we're back in the old world.
Yeah.
Right? That there's always something that reminds us that there's always something that comes in, right? So whether it's the beta glitch or whether it's, the coin from 1989, and it's, anyway, I'll explain the reference below. That there's something that is always going to come in,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean we stop doing it, right? It's like any kind of this already and not yet. And I think we used examples last week of either planting or also raising cattle, right?
Yeah.
You can't rush the process. It's not like, oh, this cow is only an embryo and therefore I'm going to get rid of it because it's not a fully formed cow yet, right? So you It's always this work in process. Always this work in progress.
We're coming dangerously close to suggesting that the church is an experiment.
Yeah, it is. It's a beta version, right? It's a prototype,
Yeah.
right? And then you of course, I watch way too much dystopian fiction. It's like the silo. It's like, oh, that one didn't work. We're going to all try these different versions. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. But you do have this proliferation at the end of the 19th century of Protestants thinking, oh, we can create these communities, whether it's the Oneida communities, and then later you have these communes that emerge in the 60s, where people's like, yes, we can embody these communities.
And it works really great right up until somebody else takes the good ironing board.
Yeah. Or until you find out, who it is that's paying the price for all of this prosperity. And I think in some ways, the dystopian communities of preppers or whatever, people that are waiting for the apocalypse, they also in their own way are trying to create these utopian communities.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work because, Joseph, your vision is not big enough. Because if whatever you are taking with you from this world in order to create your utopian other world, you're still got the tools of this world. You need an even bigger vision.
Yeah. This apocalyptic vision we've talked about, we need to develop.
Yes.
Needs to be even grander and even more loving and unexpected than we think it can be.
Yeah, because I think that the best we can do at this moment is kind of peek around the corner. And kind of squint.
I always do say though, when you're driving at night, all you can see is how far your headlights go. But you can make the whole journey that way.
You can.
So all you have to do is peek around the corner.
Unless
still
a deer
continue to make
or
that
an
journey.
elk runs in front of you.
Well, then we reboot.
Reboot. Save version. Last save version.